ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for showing up today. We really appreciate it. I'm not going to be before you long. We're just going to share a few things about underage drinking as well as what's going on currently in the social media realm, if you will. I want to encourage you, ladies and gentlemen. I've spent hours and hours and hours preparing for this presentation and going over what's going on currently in social media. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have young people or if you know people that have young people, I highly recommend you educate yourself on what's going on currently with social media. I think I've barely scratched the surface. And a number of young people, a large majority of teenagers, have cell phones and have access to all sorts of information that as adults we're so focused on other things a lot of times that we just don't even realize that these young people have access to this information. So for some, this information is going to be brand new. For others, it's going to be a review. But I'm hoping that I share something today that you'll be able to take away, and it will assist you in helping young people make healthy decisions. So I'm going to start sharing my screen here. Let's see if I get this right here. I'll be honest, I'm still a bit technologically challenged. I do the best I can here. Let's see. I think I got it. Did I get it? Heather, can you see my screen?
Perfect.
Yes. All right. I did it. Okay. So we are Talk It Out NC. We are the governor's initiative to reduce underage drinking here in our state of North Carolina. And we are an engagement and awareness campaign. Our objective is to get parents or caregivers talking to their kids, talking to their young people about the risks of underage drinking. Now, y'all do me a huge favor. There's quite a few people on, so if you would go ahead and mute your microphone so we don't hear dogs barking and that type of thing. But we really believe that we can reduce underage drinking here in our state. But we have to start having conversations, and we have to be honest, ladies and gentlemen, about the risks. There's so much misinformation out there on social media about underage drinking, and I got some slides that will highlight that. I think somebody's talking. Who's that? Somebody's not muted. Who's not muted there? All right. So we've been doing this for a long time. Personally, I'm in my 14th year of providing education to schools throughout the country as well as internationally. I'm in my 4th year of working with the Talk It Out NC campaign, and I love doing this work. I really want you all to realize, though, that there are some major things happening when it comes to underage drinking here in our state, let alone the country, but in our state alone, every year, there are more than 4,000 alcohol-related deaths among young people under the age of 21 here in our country. Every year, that's 4,000 young people. I'm hoping that y'all grasp that idea that these aren't just numbers. These are people with hopes and dreams and experiences and families. Little brothers and little sisters, grandparents. What gets me is it doesn't have to happen. It doesn't have to happen. In 2021, there were nearly 20 teen fatalities in North Carolina due to drunk driving. That's 20 people who are really, I guarantee, there are at least 20 families that are going to be really struggling to make it through the holidays this year. I'm going to offer this. Hug your kids tonight or the next time you see them. Just give them a big, huge hug for no reason. And only have to tell them why. At least 20 families are going to be struggling. That means there's someone not coming. There's going to be a space at the dinner table. It's a horrible number, and it doesn't have to happen. Alcohol-related deaths among young people, 16 to 20, increased 30% between 2019 and 2020. We're moving in the wrong direction. In some situations we're moving in a healthy direction. But that's a number, that's a statistic right there that we really have to work on. I applaud the state of North Carolina, the ABC Commission, the Governor's Highway Safety Program. I just participated in the Booze or Lose It kickoff. They are out. I was riding down 40 the other day, and I counted about 6 state troopers, at least 6 of them out on the roads. They're going to be out there in force. Please do not drive after drinking. Set the example. Drink responsibly. Get a designated driver. Use a ride sharing. Take the keys from, if you're having parties, you're having people over. Take the keys. Just take them. I guarantee that person will be happy that you did once they sober up. Take those keys. In 2019, young people under the age of 21 accounted for about 9% of national drunk driving fatalities. These numbers are too big. We can really work on them. We can get them down. I really believe that. Now, North Carolina, a survey we did just recently, kids realize there's a problem. But there appears to be a disconnect between what young people know and what adults believe. Now, I speak from experience. I was somewhat of a rambunctious young man. I guarantee there's some secrets that I still haven't told my parents. Okay. The vast majority of North Carolina's young people, 94% say that alcohol is a problem. 94% that underage drinking is a problem. And they're speaking, I'm sure, about their peer groups. More than half of them think it's a serious problem, but less than half of the North Carolina parents that were surveyed feel that way. We're operating, I speak from experience, a lot of adults are operating on old information, on old ways of doing things, on doing things in a way pre-social media. We're in a whole different situation. How many of you all remember not having cell phones? I'm glad I grew up in the time that I did. I'll be honest with you, our kids are up against it. To have access to all of the information ever known to man in their hand all the time. That's a major responsibility that I really believe a lot of young people just are not prepared for, are just not ready for. So we have to get caregivers and young people talking to each other about the risks. Do me a favor, type in the chat, if you don't mind, at least where you're from, as well as, if you want to, your title. I love to know like who I'm talking to. And if you want to be in contact with us, you don't have to do it in the group chat, but send me a specific message with your email address, and we'll make sure we'll put you on our list. Or you can go to our website, talkitoutnc.org, and register, and we'll put you on our mailing list, and we'll send you some information. But the survey that we took showed that kids who start drinking before the age of 15, the risk of having a substance use disorder is around 41%. There's some benefit to waiting, because if they wait just 6 more years until the age of 21 to start consuming alcohol, the chance of a substance use disorder drops down to about 10%. I've heard as low as 4%. So there are some benefits to delayed use. Alcohol affects the brain. It's a fact. I think there's a reason why it's an adult. I know there's a reason why it's an adult beverage. I've heard some current research that said that the level of moderate consumption is declining because alcohol can do a job on the body. So we really want to make sure that young people realize that this is an adult beverage, and here's why. Alcohol literally, for a young person, makes their brain want to drink more. So there are a number of really negative consequences that occur that, the chance of these negative consequences increase the earlier a young person starts drinking. Young people, they're very focused on having a good time, on pleasure seeking, on risk taking. They have to be in order to get out of the house. They have to take chances and take risks to get out of the nest. So they have to try new things. So they're literally wired to try new things. But this is one thing that if they start getting involved in could have lifelong consequences. There are just a number, I'm not going to read them all, but there are a number of really, really negative, very unhealthy situations that may occur as a result of a young person consuming alcohol. But I want to make sure you're clear on this, ladies and gentlemen. Most students are not drinking. Every year, the National Institute of Drug Abuse and the University of Michigan do a survey, and they survey about 50,000 students, grades 8, 10, and 12. And they look at everything from Adderall to Xanax. They look at, what young people are doing, as well as what are young people's perceptions about alcohol, tobacco, vaping, other drugs. And if you look at in the past month, amongst grades 8, 10, and 12, about 28% of 12th graders said that they had consumed alcohol in the month prior to the survey, about 28%. So if 28% did, how many didn't? And I love nailing that point home at schools because it validates those students that really don't want to drink, that don't want to vape, that don't want to smoke weed, but they may be experiencing some pressure or some perceived pressure to consume, to do those things. If we look at binge drinking in the third column there, the third set of data, 13% of high school seniors in 2022 said that they had binge drank. 13%. So if 13% did, how many didn't? A large majority. There's this idea, well, everyone's going to drink. No, it's not true. So over a period of years, we've seen declines in alcohol consumption, and I'm not oblivious to the fact that there are some parents that allow their kids to drink. It's a fact, but we really want to educate those parents on what the risks are. I did a presentation at a school, and a guy came up to me after the presentation and said, "Well, I don't mind if my kids have, a beer every once in a while, as long as they're doing it at home. I take all the keys and all the kids are safe." Well, actually, all the cars are safe when you take all the keys. When we talk about underage drinking, when teenagers get together and drink, the drinking is seldom in moderation. It's seldom responsible. Very frequently, it's at dangerous levels, very unhealthy levels. So we really want to educate young people and realize that, first of all, not everyone's doing it, and you can have an amazing life. At least wait until you're age 21. There are some major benefits to waiting. Now this is from 2020, same survey, Monitoring the Future. It kind of highlights once again that not everyone's binge drinking. So what's happening is, though, now that we have the amazing tool of social media, we are finding that marketing is changing. Marketing has changed. Now social media can be an amazing tool, but like fire. Fire can cook your food or can burn your house down. It's all about how you use it. Okay. And I think with social media, there are some people that are really struggling as a result of their social media use. But there are some companies that we Talkin Out NC, we use social media to market. You probably heard about this presentation through social media. Social media is a powerful tool, but what's happening is the research is showing that exposure to alcohol posts on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, other social media platforms really increases the likelihood, if a young person is seeing those posts, it increases the likelihood of them consuming alcohol. And if you notice, like, these are just a couple alcohol providers, sellers, if you will, putting alcohol together with food. That's a big marketing ploy, marketing technique. If you notice, they're all outside. Just about all of them are outside. They're very, very well lit, very high in color, very colorful. They got fruits and berries nearby. A little bit of sexuality there. There's a young lady down there. The one picture of the hands together. It sends a message of, when you get together with people, enjoy our product. So we have to be very careful about the messaging when it comes to consuming alcohol. Now it's not just the advertising. On social media. Now I found this, it was alcohol memes. The guy said, I'm never drinking again. 24 hours later, it's comical from an adult standpoint, but what message might this send for a teenager? Now this is offline. I found this on it's called alcohol memes. Some of the ads very targeted. Notice the sexuality. Snoop Dogg, which is an icon for some teenagers, for some young people. A bit of sexuality. Are we having bud yet? You know, when you get together with your buds. Skinny girl for those that are interested in they're health conscious, they're watching their weight. We have to be very careful. And that is a private jet. I've been on one, and that's definitely private. It's not coach that they're flying in there. What message does that send about Sky vodka? If you drink Sky, you'll be. It kind of reminds me of the old cigarette commercials where they would have the well-dressed gentleman or the rugged guy with a cigarette in his mouth, or the beautiful woman in the beautiful gown with a cigarette holder. And that was shown to increase cigarette smoking amongst people, especially people if they couldn't do anything else, if they couldn't fly first class, they couldn't wear a wedding gown or a ball gown, they could smoke. They could do something that would connect them with high society, if you will. So we really have to be very careful. This is from the alcohol memes. The officer walks up and the guy says, "Well, officer, it's medicinal." And the officer said, "Well, first of all, that's a beer." Funny stuff from an adult standpoint, but this is what young people are exposed to on social media. This guy said, girl said, "You were working, yeah, working on these beers." So we really have to be mindful. Ladies and gentlemen, I really want you to encourage that the use of social media for some kids, for some young people, could increase the risk of them getting involved in certain behaviors. You know, it's been shown. Look at there's a group of people together. They're together. Now they're not just together hanging out eating a meal, they're consuming alcohol. And so they post that to their feeds, and then other people who see the ads think that, well, I guess when we get together, we're supposed to take some pictures and post the ads, post them to our feeds as well. So I really want to encourage you all to realize that the images that are out there, a lot of them, they're no one posts a hangover. Seldom do they post if they get pulled over for a DUI. It's not a very pleasant situation. But we have to really encourage young people not to compare their lives to people's social media highlight reels. When people post pictures on social media very frequently, it's like a highlight reel. They're only going to post the stuff that makes them look good, or that puts them in a certain light. We're balling, that type of thing. We got bottles. We're popping bottles. Well, they don't post 4 in the morning when they're sick or at the hospital for alcohol poisoning. No one's going to post that. So the one way that a lot of these companies are getting around the regulation when it comes to alcohol advertising is encouraging people who consume their products to post them consuming their products. So it's kind of like a way of operating in a loophole. Ladies and gentlemen, YouTube is hot, but TikTok is hot as well. We talk about the social media platforms that young people are using. I had no idea what Twitch was. I had no idea. There's another one. It'll come to me. Telegram. That's another one that's super popular. But over a period of years now, it appears that YouTube is still number one, but TikTok is moving fastly, is moving very quickly. And I don't think it's going to take the number one spot, but it's still super popular. Amongst teenagers, about 41% of those that are using TikTok between the age of 16 and 24, about 41%. That constitutes to about, I want to say 800 million active users worldwide on TikTok. And ladies and gentlemen, it's all about the money. The goal is to feed you information based upon your clicks, what you consider to be interesting, feed you information so that advertisers can sell you stuff. So it's like, is TikTok the product, or is social media the product, or are we the product? What's happening is there are a lot of young people that are moving away from extreme levels of social media use. There's this thing called FOMO. FOMO is pull the definition, fear of missing out. A lot of the research that I saw said that it's a unique term introduced in 2004, where young people have this idea that if I'm not online, I'm missing out on something. If I'm not online, I'm missing it. How stressful must that be throughout the day? that from day to day, this is why we see young people together on their phones. They're at work. When they're together, they're at work to try to keep up with this idea of missing out on something. Who said what? Who posted what? What memes are out there that are hot now? What new dances are out? What new challenges are out? It's just exhausting. I'm so glad I grew up without a phone. Um, but what happens is that perception causes a behavior, compulsive behavior to maintain those connections. Now, I'm so glad that a lot of young people are figuring this out, that, you know what, spending time in nature is much more enjoyable than spending time in the house on my phone. Spending time learning a new skill or a new hobby, riding my horse, riding my bicycle, going fishing, doing those things that are like and really enjoyable that have nothing to do with social media. Unfortunately, there's tons of unregulated content on social media. They can't keep up with it all. Mark Zuckerberg said, now Facebook's for us older people, a lot of young people, Facebook is not even in the top 10 for young people when it comes to social media platforms. But they said they don't have enough people to keep up with all the content. So they rely upon bots and AI. So certain things that are typed in will get flagged and deleted, or someone will find out about it. But there's so much information that's still getting through. So one of the big things that happened last year was the NyQuil Chicken Challenge, where they would take NyQuil, pour it on a chicken breast, cook it, and then eat it. Major risks with that behavior, okay? But this is the mindset that we're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. When you heat NyQuil, it creates a fume that can be toxic, that can be super dangerous. But the objective is to film yourself eating the chicken and what happens as a result. There was another one, some of y'all remember this one, the milk crate challenge. This is the mentality that the teenage brain is still developing. The part of the brain that says, you know what, walking up a stack of milk crates might not be a good idea. That's one of the last parts of the brain to complete development. It's in the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is responsible for consequential thinking, impulse control, executive functioning, planning, that type of thing. The limbic system, the part of the brain that's responsible for fun and enjoyment and pleasure, is more developed than the part of the brain responsible for making for impulse control. So this is why we had people doing those things. But what's happening is, ladies and gentlemen, is that through social media, drugs are being sold. It's a fact. I found some yesterday. I just did a couple keyword searches and it came up on Instagram. This is one of the that came up on, now this is through Telegram, where the products are literally available and they deliver. And they deliver. So I would bet dollars to donuts any of the pills that might be delivered, the fake Percocets, the fake Valium, the fake prescription medications have fentanyl in them. I would bet dollars to donuts. It's so dangerous now. The drug supply has been tainted. Now, for those, I know we're supposed to talk about alcohol, but I want to make sure that the adults are aware of what's available, what's out there. These are the emojis that are common emojis that are used in drug dealing. And it's not very hard if a person is looking for weed and they type in like a plug up in the right-hand corner there. That's for who? Okay, who? Where are the plugs? Where are the dealers? Who are the dealers? If they type a tree, that means like for marijuana. So, and I'll send these out if you want a copy of these. These are from the DEA, but they're out there online. If you're looking for meth or heroin, cocaine, a snowflake, or an 8-ball, I mean, it's a whole different game now. Young people don't have to go to the sketchy side of town and meet some guy on the corner. The guy on the corner will have you cash app him and he'll deliver it. He'll put it in the mail for you. So substance use, particularly alcohol, is frequently displayed on social media sites and this normalizes drinking for teens and young adults. What I want to do is, now this kind of highlights, how young people get together and drink. Very frequently, it's at dangerous levels. But what I want to do is I got a video that I want to show you real quick. that highlights one of the most recent challenges that we're seeing. Now, I gotta caution you. This it's got a couple bleeped out words, but I'm going to show it anyway because I think that this is what your kids are dealing with. And so I just want to be, I don't want to sugarcoat it today. I want to make sure that you're aware of what your kids are actually dealing with.
With her thirsty and needs to go try to overdose again.
A cruel case of online bullying targeting a 14-year-old Houston girl who had already tried to kill herself once.
When something would go wrong on social media, somebody would say something hurtful, it would be devastating to her. She overdosed on an over-the-counter medicine.
She survived, but began secretly drinking to numb the pain.
I asked her if she had been drinking one day, and she said no. I did some further digging, and my son actually told me, yes, that they had a way to get alcohol.
Teens will always find a way. They've been doing it for generations. But now they're using social media apps to have it delivered. In this case, Jane Doe used Snapchat to order alcohol from strangers online who then delivered it right to her home without her mom ever even knowing.
There are dealers on Snapchat that you can message and ask them for any type of alcohol, cigarettes, marijuana, whatever you want. You give them your home address. They tell you what time they will leave the product on the side of your house, and you leave them cash.
Dealers, or runners as they're often called, market to teens on Snapchat. They even take special orders.
It's not a high school kid. It's somebody that can go to the store and purchase whatever this kid asks for.
And getting access to alcohol, marijuana, and pills is easier than parents can imagine and even harder to spot, according to Rania Mankarios with Crime Stoppers.
It can come in, it look like a shoebox from a shoe company. It can come in a very small envelope, just a manila envelope, nothing suspicious, regular UPS, FedEx, regular mail.
It happened back in February to TV host Dr. Laura Berman.
I don't even want to call it an accidental overdose because he's right. Know what he was taking. He was poisoned and murdered.
Friends later shared a screenshot of the Snapchat ad with his mom.
15 cents. 15 cents he paid for this one pill that they believe was laced with fentanyl. Killed him instantly.
Signs for parents to watch out for include isolation, random and unexpected packages arriving at the home, and behavioral changes such as bloodshot eyes, laughing for no reason, even avoiding eye contact. Parents need to have the drug and alcohol talk with their teens before an online drug dealer does.
Our thought process was if they're at home, they can't get to the alcohol and they're safe and we're watching them.
We've compiled a list of other behaviors parents should monitor, as well as the full interview with Dr. Laura Berman on our website at clicktohouston.com.
Okay, I've got one more that I want to show you that when we're talking about once again, the mindset of young people. This one highlights what's going on with, it was a while back, it was several months ago, but we were at the NC State Fair and we had a booth set up and some students came from Duke as well as, I want to say, Chapel Hill. And in my conversation with them, they said that this situation is still going on.
It's St. Mark's Day! University of Massachusetts is warning students about a new drink combination, causing 28 ambulances to be called to off-campus parties. TikTok is being blamed for circulating the drink trend and ingredients. The social media platform is already in hot water with the U.S. government, as bills are being floated in Congress to ban TikTok. The drink deemed Borgs, or blackout rage gallons, is encouraging students to binge drink copious amounts of alcohol from gallon jugs. The infamous drink is trending on TikTok with videos showing Borg recipes, Borg challenges, and Borg puns.
Most importantly, you have to name it, and it's got to be something with Borg. And so basically Gen Z just like drinks this.
Students were seen carrying the jugs at the annual unsanctioned UMass student event, Blarney Blowout. They were seen naming their jugs with Borg puns on social media while noticeably intoxicated.
Margarita! Rick and Morty!
Borg. My Borg is named Borg Leaf Clover.
Jason Borg.
People in the comments claim the goal is to have your own drink to bring to parties to prevent spreading germs or getting slipped with a date rape jug. Students promote drinking this combination of water, electrolytes, and vodka because they think it will help them stay hydrated while they drink.
And then lastly, because it's only 1 p.m., we're gonna add some liquid IV so we don't get hungover at midnight. I'm just gonna throw this whole pack in here. I shake it all up.
However, health officials say it's not advisable for anyone to drink half a gallon of vodka.
There's nothing unique about a Borg that is going to lend itself to better control over drinking.
We spoke with Dr. George Koob, who is the director at the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism.
When you go past a standard drink, you really are getting to the point where alcohol ultimately becomes a toxin, and you can easily overdose.
He said the repercussions of binge drinking is not just getting blacked out.
You can kill yourself, basically. Individuals who engage in binge drinking, high intensity drinking, which is 8 drinks for females, 10 drinks for males, you're approaching danger levels for your life.
Dr. Koog says binge drinking has become more prevalent since the pandemic, as people are wanting to catch up on times they feel they have missed with friends while being in lockdown.
It's what we call in the field the alcohol deprivation effect. So people tend to really rebound in drinking after a period of not drinking. And so we are a little concerned.
TikTok, where Borgs became popular, has been in the Senate spotlight for weeks as Congress is looking to ban the app nationwide due to its connection to China. The Biden administration has already banned the app from government devices. I'm Amy Jalora for Washington Examiner.
Upwards of 80 million views on TikTok when you just put in Borg. 80 million people. And I bet that's probably a fraction of the people that actually that saw that, have seen this on TikTok or social media. And this is just on one college campus. But when I mentioned Borg to a couple random students that attend a college here in North Carolina, they said, yes, it's still a thing. So for those that don't know, it's a gallon jug. They pour out half of the water, and then they pour in like a fifth of vodka. They add electrolytes and flavoring, and the objective is, the rationale is that if they consume the water with the electrolytes, they won't have a hangover. Not true. Not true at all. Your body's going to process whatever you pour into it when it comes to alcohol. So it's just a very dangerous level of consumption. The one, I would say on the other side of that, though, okay, so you're not drinking from the jungle juice bin. I might be dating myself on that one, but you're not consuming from that community bin of alcohol that has who knows what in it. Second of all, you can kind of control what you put into it. So if you don't have the wherewithal to tell people, no, I don't drink, but you want to walk around with this jug, you can put in no alcohol, and it could be just a big thing full of whatever you want, non-alcoholic beverage. But what message are we sending when we're allowing when young people are drinking at that level? This is why it's so important for us to start having these conversations, I would say in elementary school, about rules, following rules, about boundaries, about reaching out for help when needed, about feeling with difficult situations. And as students matriculate into middle school and high school, make sure we're very clear about the risks of overconsumption of alcohol, about consumption of alcohol in general, because there's other people are talking to them. Now, I want to make sure parents realize that the survey that our students took, upwards of 80% of them said that their parents, their caregivers, are the number one influence in their lives on their decisions to drink or not to drink. Parents and caregivers, not TikTok, not friends, parents and caregivers. So we've made some progress. The numbers of underage drinking continues to decline over a period of time. But those numbers of drinking and driving, those are still too high. Those are still too high. We're going to have to continue to have those conversations. We're going to have to continue. When I go to schools and I'm in a classroom and I'm talking to a bunch of kids, a bunch of, say, 10th, 11th graders, they usually have a lot of questions. And there's a lot of misinformation out there about alcohol in particular, other drugs as well, but definitely about alcohol. That, if you're just drinking wine, it's not as bad. No, wine has alcohol in it as well. So it's so important. We are totally available. We would love to come out and work with your young people, work with your parents, work with your community groups, your coalitions. But it's going to take more than just us having conversations, because we're in there for an hour or two, and then that's it. So who else is talking to them, and what are the messages that they're receiving on a regular basis? It's recommended that young people put the phone down, establish some screen-free times. All of the experts have said that more than 2 hours a day might be too much, even for like 15, 16, 17-year-olds. We were at dinner. I go to the finest restaurants in town. And so my wife and I, we're at Golden Corral, not bragging. I love their salad bar. But there was a group behind us of it kind of like, maybe it was an extended family, because it was like several adults, some teenagers, and some little ones. And they came in after we sat down. So they sat down, and so while we're eating, I hear it sounded like TVs were on, and there were 3 of them. So I turn around, all the little ones had devices. Now, mind you, ladies and gentlemen, social media, they've hired people who work in Vegas. They're called behavior engineers, to make that screen extremely hard to put down. Why? Because you want people to keep playing the slot machines, the lights and the dings and the sounds. These little kids they're not even eating. They're on their screens. About a half an hour later, I hear this screech like this. One of the little girls started screaming, and she wouldn't stop crying. I turn around and look. The adult was trying to get the kid to eat and had taken the screen away. Some of the executives of social media companies, they don't allow their kids to use social media. It's designed to be addictive. It taps into our dopamine levels and cause a release in dopamine. So, we have to make sure we're setting boundaries when it comes to social media use in particular. Making sure you're having some conversations, not just, I heard on the video, they said, have the conversation. No, have conversations periodically, checking in. It's recommended you don't allow the kid to have the phone in their room past dark. Charge the phones in your room, in the adult's room, in the parent's room. Let the phone charge there, because social media can get in the way of sleep. Model those behaviors you want to see in your kid. If you can't put your phone down, adults, you're at the dinner table and you're scrolling and you're not really present because you're focused on what's going on your screen, that sends a very strong message. Keep up to date with popular apps. I've got a couple websites at the end there. Like I said, I'll make sure you can have access to this slide deck. But there's some websites that are out there that track the good, bad, and ugly about social media and apps that your kids have access to. There are phones that are smartphones that don't even have social media. They have very limited amounts. I believe it's called Bark. Very limited amounts of social media access for young people. And so you really might want to look into that, especially if you have little ones they're starting to ask for phones. Limit nighttime social media use. Kids need sleep, and social media has just the light hinders melatonin production. So the melatonin is the thing we need to help us go to sleep. It allows us to get drowsy. Our melatonin levels increase. That screen, that light, decreases or slows the melatonin levels increasing, so it makes it harder to go to sleep. So a kid puts the phone down, then they try to sleep, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, they're finally drifting off. Encourage real life social experiences. Get outside, do things with your kids, spend time and without the phones, without the social media, and assist them in building their self-esteem and self-worth. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we get ready to wrap it up here, I want to make sure you got any questions. Feel free to just hop in or type them in the chat, and we'll do our best to get them answered for you. We are across the state. We've got ambassadors, myself, I'm out there burning the road up there. We want to work with your young people. We want to work with your kids, your teenagers, your adults, your community. We would love to share this information about the risks of underage drinking and help you all help your kids make healthy decisions. We'll come to you, and there's no charge involved. We have this thing called our game of the week, where we're really pushing to speak to our student athletes, because a lot of times the student athletes on campus are some of the leaders on campus. So if we can get them to really believe and really highlight the idea that, you know what, we don't drink and we're cool still, that idea or that message can travel throughout the entire school and the entire community. There's some resources available here. Our website is amazing. We spend hours and hours and hours upgrading and working with our marketing team to make our website not just look good, but be functional and have an impact. So please go to our website, talkitoutnc.org. The National Institute of Drug Abuse and Alcoholism, that's a really good website. Tons of current research that's out there. There's research happening as we speak, ladies and gentlemen, about the risks of underage drinking. Now, this one blog, findmykids.org, it's got some really good information on websites, on apps, and social media use. The Pew Research, they do tons of research. They're doing research right now on social media and how it's affecting young people's brains in particular. Drugfree.org, that's a really good one, very, very user friendly. And if you want to get in contact with me, please feel free to reach out. I love to talk about how we can connect with you and partner with you and get this information out there so we can reduce underage drinking here in our state. So, questions? Let them rip.
If you have any questions, you can use the raise your hand feature, and I'll be happy to unmute you so you can chat with Rodney.
I don't have a question. I have a comment.
Mm-hmm.
All of these webinars from Talk It Out are always super informative. You guys always have the best presentations. I do want to say that you gave me a new perspective when you were talking about the father who said he lets his kids drink at home and he takes the keys. And I always, in my mind, I mean, and my daughter's only 2, I always thought, well, I mean, I understand that because your kid's going to be safe if you have the car keys. But when you said you're only keeping the car safe, that put a whole nother perspective in that scenario that I never would have thought of. So I appreciate you bringing that story into your presentation.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you so much. Yeah, because ladies and gentlemen, addiction actually runs in families. There's a genetic component to it as well. So let's say, you know, there are a couple kids down in the basement there. You've got the keys, but the kids in the basement, they might have a genetic predisposition for substance use disorder, and you're allowing them to drink at your house. You know, it just there's so many risks involved, let alone that from a liable standpoint. Heaven forbid something happens when they leave your house, and now you can be held liable for providing alcohol to a young person. So there are just so many risks. There's so many risks. Thank you so much for your comment. I really appreciate that. I thought I saw another hand. Was it Mr. Mike? Hey, Mr. De Silva. Hey, I know Mr. Mike was here. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. Wouldn't miss it, Rodney. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thanks for unmuting me there, Heather. So great job, as always, by you and the ECHO team. One thing, I made a couple notes, and I had no idea that the teens, you said 94% of teens say there is a problem, but the adults, less than 50%, think there's a problem. So that to me says there's big room for education to folks. And I know the ECHO team does focus on that, but that really paints a picture to me, those numbers. The teens are being more honest about it maybe than the adults, or the adults just failing to recognize it. I'm sure there's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
So good job on that and the whole program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike. I think a lot of the teens really realize it's a problem and they don't want it to be a problem. So that's why I think they were honest about it. They see their friends struggling. They see their peers struggling with just changes in behavior. Alcohol can do a major job on a young person their entire life. Life is stressful. Adults struggle with coping with life. For a teenager who hasn't got those coping strategies in place, alcohol works until it stops working. And then you have a whole nother set of issues. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, Mike. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks.
Any other questions or comments? Y'all like my Christmas decorations? Y'all like how I do? No, my wife did all. I didn't do any of that. I brought it in and she set it all up. Yeah.
Perfect. I don't see any more hands, Rodney.
Okay.
Just a lot of positive feedback in the chat.
Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all so much. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead.
After this is over, Rodney, I can get your slideshow and I can send out the PowerPoint presentation to everybody. And I'll make sure to copy you. That way they have your contact information as well.
Awesome. Okay, I'll send it to you.
Thanks. I was going to ask because there's a lot of good info there. So appreciate y'all doing that, Heather and Rodney, getting that slide deck out.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. So ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all so much for coming. We really appreciate it. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions or if we can be of service in any way. We really appreciate y'all. And I just want to encourage y'all to have a happy and safe holiday. Y'all take care.